Hey gamers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and today I'm going to show you how to solo Heroes of Terrinoth, a cooperative card game of questing and adventure that is designed by the Sadler brothers and is the successor to their Warhammer adventure card game. So before we go into setup, I want to have a look at some of the options for heroes. So we're going to just play a solo game, which means that we need to pick 2 heroes, one from each of 2 of these classes. So there are 4 classes in the game, and you actually get to choose from among 3 heroes for each of those classes, which means that there's quite a bit of variety. Each of these heroes is going to have their own starting HP and their own special abilities that are really, really helpful. So our classes here are Scout, Mage, Warrior, and Healer. And throughout the game, you're going to be able to upgrade them and get better improved cards for each class. So thinking about who you want to choose, what special ability they should have, and how you might upgrade them is part of the fun of getting into this game. So I think for this particular adventure, I want to chronicle the adventures, I think, of Carrie Wraithstalker, who is a scout, and I can discard success tokens to hurt an enemy at the beginning of a turn. And I'm also going to take One Fist, who is an ogre with a hook hand, because I think that is really cool. So we are going to go with One Fist and Carrie Wraithstalker. So now that we've chosen our heroes, I've also set them up with their basic cards. So each of the 4 classes is going to have 4 basic cards. So when you're playing a hero from that class, those are the cards you're going to start with. What's interesting is that at some point we're going to get to upgrade some of our cards and go on branching pathways. For example, the Scout has 4 Thief cards, or they can choose to become a Wildlander instead. Warriors, on the other hand, have a choice between going in the direction of being a Knight, which has its own upgrade cards, or a Berserker. And so these cards are going to have different abilities and different strategies going forward. Heroes of Terrinoth is a scenario-based adventure card game, so we're going to start with the introductory scenario called the Goblin Problem. The rulebook for this game also assumes that that is the first adventure you're going to set up, so all of the examples in it are catered to this particular scenario. So I do highly recommend this is where you start when you are learning the game. The back of the card has some setup instructions for us, as well as these victory and defeat texts that we are going to ignore for now. But we have the story so far. You traveled a day from Goldhall across the pastoral landscape of Allerfeld, stopping at a quaint roadside inn, only as the sun dipped low enough that travel, even in this heartland of Terrinoth, became impractical, especially now with word of goblins in the area. You've only just tucked into a modest supper at the inn when a haggard man burst through the door, clutching at a dark stain on the arm of his tunic. "Goblins!" he gasps, sagging heavily against your table. "On the road! Dozens! One of them says he's a king!" You've heard of this self-styled king of all goblins, strong, devious, and just cowardly enough to keep himself alive. He may not be the worthy foe you imagine for yourself, but it would be a good start. So you get the story so far, which is kind of like a fun little set of flavor text, and then you also get special setup instructions. So what this means is enemies, locations, exploration. It doesn't mean that there are no enemies, locations, or explorations. It just means that there's no special setup for those. And then these diagrams here are going to show us how to set up our decks. So the first thing that we're going to do is set up the enemy deck. So we're being told that we're going to create basically 2 decks and place one on top of the other. So the top deck is going to contain Goblin Archers, Goblin Witchers, and Rat Swarms. There's 3 of each of those kinds of cards in the card deck. There will always be 2 minions and 1 master that is more difficult to defeat. So basically we are going to shuffle all of these ones together into one deck. In this other deck, we're going to have bandits, cave spiders, and ogres. So 3 bandits, 3 ogres, 3 cave spiders. And then we're going to shuffle these together. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put this deck on the bottom, and then this one is going to go on the top. Enemies all set. So we'll put this to the side, and then let's look at our location deck. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set up our little location deck, and basically this will tell us exactly what locations we need and in what order they should go. So we know that we need the Roadside Inn, the Dark Forest, and the Brigand Camp. These are all locations we're going to be traveling through during the game as we make progress. We know that the Brigand Camp will be on the bottom, the Dark Forest is in the middle, and the Roadside Inn is on top. We're also going to set up our exploration deck. So here on the setup card, it says base, wild, and village. So you'll find all the cards that say base. the ones that say village, and the ones that say wild, and you're going to shuffle those together to create your exploration deck. Then the last thing we're going to do is pull out our nemesis, who is Splig, the Goblin King. Well, so-called Goblin King. We'll see if he can survive us. So we'll put Splig here in the lair of the nemesis until he comes into the game, and we'll be instructed to put him in later on. So this is basic setup. So we've gotten our heroes, we've gotten our card deck set up. So now we can flip the Goblin Problem and begin play. So here is our full setup for our game of Heroes of Terrinoth, and we are going to get going. So our heroes are set up down here. What's going on here is that we are playing a 2-player game. So the game is actually designed for up to 4 heroes to play. So there are some adjustment cards when you play with 3 and 2. For a solo game, you typically will control 2 heroes. Although if you want to do 4, go to town. I support you. But this card will tell us that during the hero phase, each hero is going to activate twice, and they each get an extra 10 HP. So basically what's going to be going on is that we get a little bit of a bonus, some extra activations to make up for the fact that we don't have 4 heroes playing so that the game stays balanced. This torch means that I've selected One Fist to be our party leader. So he's going to lead the charge with our scout kind of slinking along sneakily behind him, which thematically makes sense to me. And we're going to draw our first location. So our first location is going to be the Roadside Inn, which is of course the spot where we initially were in the tavern. The guy jumps in to the tavern and is like, oh, there's goblins on the road. So we're at the Roadside Inn. We need to explore all 3 of these locations in order to go get Splig out of his hideaway. But for now, we got to get through the Roadside Inn. And what that means is that we need to get 6 exploration tokens on here. We also know that at the end of the travel phase, we're going to have the option to discard 1 success token, which is something we can earn during play to recover health. And we're also going to get some setup instructions. So this means that 1 enemy is going to come out and be engaged with us. There's going to be 3 in the shadows. So let's get it set up. So let's first pull 1 enemy from this top deck to engage with One Fist. When you are pulling off this deck, the first person that an enemy is going to engage with is your party leader. So One Fist is going to get our first enemy. So down comes the Goblin Witcher. So we're going to go through his abilities when we get to an enemy activation if we can't kill him first. But we know that if he's engaged with me, I'm going to become weakened if we can't kill him first, which is very unfortunate. So we're going to have to figure out what to do about this dude. We're also going to put 3 enemies here in the shadows, and they're going to pop out on enemy activations, or if we decide to engage with enemies up here, and we'll have to deal with them. So we are going to each get to activate. We get to activate twice, but you can't activate the same hero twice in a row. So we're going to start with One Fist, go to carry, One Fist, carry Wraithstalker. So what is the first thing that One Fist should do? Well, I'm pretty sure that One Fist should do what he does best, which is use his cleave power. So normally when you exhaust a card, you should turn it sideways, but other people had this idea and I thought it was brilliant. To mark that a card has been exhausted, we're going to put a little token on it instead for visibility, and also because I actually think it looks nicer and it helps me. So when you activate a card, you basically do what it says in order from top to bottom. So I may become engaged with 1 enemy. You can have up to 3 enemies in front of you. So basically I can pick someone from the shadows, drag them down, and start wailing on them too, which is pretty cool. Then I can attack. So we know that before resolving my action, I can actually target up to 2 enemies, which means I can decide how to distribute the damage that I do. It's kind of a way of hedging my bets. And then of course we have some cool flavor text, because Terrinoth means the land of steel. Awesome. So let's go ahead and cleave. We are going to become engaged with another enemy, so we can pick anyone from the shadows that we want. We don't have to go left to right. Let's grab the middle one. So the middle card is going to be, oh, gross. It's a Master Rat Swarm. So it's going to come over here and be engaged with us. This is going to cause us some extra damage, perhaps, but that's okay. We're going to drag enemies over here because we're going to tank and keep carry Wraithstalker from taking hopefully anything too nasty, but we'll find out. Now we get to attack. So before resolving this action, I can target the 2 enemies. Obviously, we're going to target both of these. Then we are going to roll. So the way that this works on an activation is that any action we take, including things like protect, rest, so any dice action where we roll hero dice, we're also going to roll enemy dice for enemies that are engaged with us, because even if we're not attacking them, they are still coming at us. No matter what it is we're trying to get done, along the way. So out of respect for that, we're going to roll 2 white dice. Those are us. We're going to roll 2 enemy dice, and those are them. So the way the size of the dice will work is that a star is a success. So this would be 2 successes. This is a critical success, so you count yourself as having 1 success and then roll the die again, and you can actually do this as many times as you like. And this is a defense. So if somebody is hitting me, I can actually use this to cancel out one of the damage, which is pretty cool. On the enemy dice, this is a hit. This is a miss, so nothing happens. And then this one is a threat roll where we have to do a special action that is determined by whatever nemesis that we're dealing with. So in Splig's case, he's going to force us to either discard success tokens or progress tokens. So it just kind of interferes with our journey through this adventure. So let's go ahead and roll all these dice and see what happens. All right, so this didn't work out as well as one might have hoped, but that's okay. So the way this is going to work is the first thing you do is you resolve the hero dice. So that means that we are going to resolve 3 successes, which means that we're going to do 3 damage to one of these guys. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead. So we're going to do 3 damage to the Goblin Witcher. I'm hoping that maybe we can have Carrie help take care of him before there's an enemy activation, which seems like a good idea to me. Then what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to resolve the enemy dice. So it's like a skirmish, like you each resolve and then you do cleanup. So if somebody had died, we wouldn't be cleaning them up until after the die rolls were resolved. So what you have to do is when you do enemy damage, it's 1 enemy will damage you for each of the counterattack dice. And if only one of them hits you, you have to choose the one that does more damage. In this case, they both do 1. So One Fist is going to take 2 damage. And that was his activation. So yeah, we became engaged, we attacked, that was it. So now it's going to be Carrie Wraithstalker's turn to do something. And I think that what she's going to do is let's go ahead and kind of try to clean up this Goblin Witcher. I think that's a good idea. So we're going to go ahead and attack with her too. I can become engaged with 1 enemy. So you can choose to become engaged with an enemy that's attacking someone else. Like, let's go tap this Goblin Witcher on the shoulder and be like, hey, look at me, ugly, what you can do about it? So now he's going to come over here and be engaged with me. Then we're going to attack him. So there's 1 enemy against me, so that's 1 die. And then I'm going to roll 2 attack dice for me. And, haha, that lame Goblin Witcher did nothing. Perfect. So let's resolve our dice first. We got 3 damage on him, which means that he's definitely going to die. Goodbye, Felicia. And then he's not going to do anything back to us. So we resolved our dice, we resolved his die. Now we're going to do cleanup, which in this case involves literally cleaning him up. Get out, Goblin Witcher. So now we're back over to our good friend, One Fist. So One Fist has used his cleave action. We're not going to be able to use this again until we unexhaust it. So this is where we talk about timing and strategy in this game. We have 4 different cards. You can use 1 per activation, and you can't unexhaust them all until you take a regroup action. So if you regroup, then you can unexhaust everything. You also get a bonus if everything else is exhausted by the time you take that action. So there's a lot of strategy involved in timing your actions and making sure that they happen smoothly and that you're doing things in the right order. So what we're going to try this time is we're going to go ahead and advance. So what that's going to mean is that we're going to make some progress up here on this card because that's how we're going to advance all the way to the end of the game. And that's something I really would like to do. So we're going to go ahead and use our advance card this time. So we're going to explore. Sadly, we are still going to have to roll for this rat swarm because it's like we're trying to explore and the rats are still nipping at our heels, being gross. So we're going to use 2 dice for us, 1 for the rats. And then after that, we'll go through the next action. But first, we're just going to explore. Perfect. So the enemy did nothing. That's great. But first, we're going to resolve our own dice. So we have 2 successes so far, plus 1 for our critical. So let's go ahead and just put a success token over here to mark that. And we got another success. So that's a total of 4 successes that we have gotten, which means that we can put 4 progress tokens over here on the Roadside Inn. So it's going to be 3, and then 4. So we need to get to 6. We are well on our way through progressing to the next location, which is really, really good. So that was our explore action. Resolving the enemy die does nothing because the enemy didn't do anything to us, which is perfect. So now we're going to draw and resolve one exploration card. So up here in the exploration deck, there's all sorts of goodies for us to find. Let's see what we get. Ooh, so here we got a bear trap. So we may discard this card after an enemy becomes engaged with us. And then if we do, that enemy is exhausted and, suffers 1 damage. So basically we can kind of knock enemies out as they come towards us, which is a really good thing if someone starts to get overwhelmed by enemies. Excellent. Also, you can have as many items as you want, so we'll just have a little collection of these going on down here. And now we get to do one more activation, and I need to decide what I think I should be doing with Carrie Wraithstalker. So I can either finish exploring the location, which doesn't seem like a terrible idea. Oh wait, there's one other thing we do have to do on this advanced card. We have to claim 1 success token. Sorry about that. You can have a total of 5. Basically, you can agree to spend them before a roll to guarantee success on some enterprise in the game. So either you can guarantee that you're going to get a hit through, or you can guarantee that you're going to get an exploration token up here, something like that. All right, now we're on Carrie Wraithstalker. So the question is, are we going to try? We can try to aid our buddy One Fist over here and let him cleave again. Or we can go ahead and try to blaze a trail and finish the exploration card and then move on to the next location for our following turn. I think let's go ahead and blaze a trail. No guts, no glory. So I get to roll 2 dice, and there are no enemies that are engaged with me, so I don't have to roll a black die, only 2 white ones. Excellent. So it's not an amazing roll, but I got exactly what I needed. I got 2 successes, which is going to put us right at 6 for the Roadside Inn. Perfect. So also exciting about Carrie Wraithstalker's exploration power is that she gets to draw 2 exploration cards. We get to choose one and then put the other one on either the top or the bottom. So for this one, we've drawn a Wanderer's Stone and a Healing Potion. Fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and grab this Healing Potion because I think it's a great thing to have. And then we can either put this on top and you can discard when here's resolving it. If you do, you can apply +1 success to the results of an explore action, which seems cool, but maybe not that exciting. So let's go ahead and put it on the bottom. So now we're on to the enemy phase, and what's going to happen is that One Fist and Carrie Wraithstalker are going to take turns picking enemies to activate until they've all been exhausted. So you cannot let too many enemies build up. It causes problems. So what's going to happen is that first, One Fist is going to go, and he's going to activate the enemy that's already engaged with him. You have to prioritize an enemy that's engaged with you first. So he's going to go ahead and activate the Rat Swarm. The good news is the Rat Swarm just becomes engaged with the hero with the most engaged enemies, which is me anyway. So that's going to exhaust. It doesn't even do its attack value. It actually only does that when it's rolling an enemy die against one of your actions. So that was an easy little resolve. Now it's Carrie Wraithstalker's turn. Let's go ahead and grab... Let's grab this one. Oh no, it's Goblin Archers. No, they're horrible. Okay, that sucks. So what's going to happen is that now the Goblin Archer is going to activate, and it's going to do its 3 actions in order. So the first one is called Aimed Shot. It's described right here. If this enemy is in the shadows, which it is, the hero with the fewest engaged enemies, which is Carrie, suffers 2 damage. That little butt shot me. All right, so he shot me for 2. Then the next action is retreat. So if the Goblin Archers were down here, they would retreat back to the shadows, but they're already there, so the retreat action just kind of passes. And then they inflict, which means they do damage to the active hero, which is me over here, for their normal damage. So I just took 3 damage from that little encounter. Ugh. And then it's time, so these guys are exhausted now. And then One Fist is going to overturn our next enemy and activate them. Rat Swarm, great. So the enemy just becomes engaged with the hero with the most engaged enemies. So all it does is come over here. Doesn't hurt me yet, it just kind of gets in my face. So One Fist is like running around without any, he's like constantly being swarmed by rats. The goblins have shot us, and that was the enemy activation. So once the enemy activation is over, everybody gets ready again. And we move on to the peril phase. So this should be here, by the way. So now we're on to the peril phase, and all that means for now is that, see this little timer here? We're just going to advance it 1 along the time track. If it lands on one of these colored spaces, we do what it says in that corresponding space. So next time we're going to hit it green and see what happens, which will be, you know, interesting. So here we are. And now we are going to do the travel phase, and that's where we choose if we're going to move to the next location. So basically we get to decide if we're going to move on, and I think that we are. So during the travel phase, we are going to discard all the progress that we've made and this card. We have the option to choose whether we want to switch party leaders, but I think we're just going to leave it with One Fist. We're going to clear all of the enemies that are in the shadows out of the shadows. So the goblin archers just kind of got left behind in the woods when we ran away. And now we're going to flip a new location card and set it up. Okay, so we have the Dark Forest. So this one has a different setup structure, and it's also a little more difficult. So this one needs 7 progress tokens to get through it. We also know that at the end of the travel phase, the party leader rolls 1 enemy die. On a hit, he or she becomes poisoned. No, on a threat roll, which is the skull, we'll have to spawn 1 enemy face down in the shadows. This is also going to be tough because instead of having a bunch of enemies in the shadows, this time we're going to spawn 3 and only have 1 in the shadows. So the first 2 spawns are going to be easy, and then the third one I'll talk to you about, because you can only have 3 enemies on you at once. So our first spawn is going to come over to... Okay, so One Fist is just totally surrounded by rats. This is insane. We're going to have to do something about these rat swarms, because this is too much. Too much. And then we're going to come over here, and some goblin archers are going to become engaged with Carrie Wraithstalker. Then we need to actually draw 1 more enemy to become engaged with us. But the problem is that One Fist is full up. He can't actually take on any more enemies. So what happens when you do that? So sadly what's going to happen is I'm going to suffer wounds that are equal to this enemy's attack value, and then he's going to go in the shadows. So a Goblin Witcher just popped out. He's not going to be engaged with me. He's going to come into the shadows, but I'm going to take 1 damage from him. Rude. And then we're going to place 1 enemy face down here in the shadows. So engaged, engaged, shadows. And now that we've got this, the travel phase is over, we've got this new whole thing set up, it is time for us to play ball. Okay, so what we're going to do is, so we each get 2 activations, and One Fist is going to go first. All right, so I can choose to protect, which could be helpful. Yeah, because the thing is we're going to need to regroup soon, but I'm not ready to do it yet because we need to do some attacking. The other thing is that we also do, however, need to clear up our exploration cards soon so we can keep advancing through the Dark Forest. But here's what we're going to do. One Fist is going to protect. We may become engaged with 1 enemy, but we're not going to do that. Aid is roll 2 dice, and then sadly we have to roll 3 enemy dice in order to account for all 3 of these nasty little rat swarms. So let's see how we roll. Alright, so this was not awesome, sadly. So what's going to happen is we're going to resolve our dice first. We're going to give 1 success token to Carrie, because that's what aiding does. Our other one is a shield, which is good because this enemy dice die did nothing. These 2 are hits. Each of these guys does 1 damage, so we are going to block 1 and take 1 more. So we only took 1 damage from that whole enterprise. The other thing is the target hero can ready 1 activation card. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and ready Precise Strike over here on Carrie Wraithstalker and open her up to do some attacking. So here's her first activation. What she's actually going to do, however, she's not going to attack right away. We're going to go ahead and use Draw Attention over here. And we are going to aid. So we roll 1 black die for our Goblin Archers and then 2 white ones. Alright, so we got 1 shield, thankfully, and 1 success. So we're going to give 1 more success token over here to our friend, One Fist. We're going to block the hit from the Goblin Archers. So we didn't get hurt. Everything, we just kind of made it through. The target hero can now ready 1 activation card. So what we're going to do is activate Cleave. then we're going to claim 1 success token for ourselves. Perfect. So now we have got to do something about these rat swarms on the second activation. So we're going to do cleave. It says that you may become engaged with 1 enemy, but we have enough on our hands over here with these rat swarms. One fist, what is in your pockets, dude? All right, so then we can attack. Before resolving this action, we can target up to 2 enemies. So let's go ahead and just target these 2. We are also going to use these success tokens. You have to decide before you roll, but I'm going to decide already that we're going to cause an extra 2 damage on this roll because we must. Now we are going to roll 2 dice for us and 3 for the bad guys and see how much damage we can get done. Ah. All right, so this didn't work out amazingly, but we'll deal with it. So we have 3 successes here. And we have bet our success tokens, and you resolve our dice first. So what's going to happen is we're going to get to do 5 damage over here. So what that means is that we're going to do 4 to this rat swarm. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll do our 5th one to this other rat swarm here. We, on the enemy side of things, are going to take 1 damage. And we've also rolled a threat roll. So we're going to see how that works. So up here we have our threat. It says either discard 1 success token or discard 1 progress from the active location. Okay, so I'm not 100% what to do here because I did have these success tokens, right? But I spent them already and we don't have any progress. I'm not really sure if discard... Okay, so I think what we're going to do to resolve this is we're going to go ahead and discard the success token from Carrie to meet the requirement of this card because these ones were already spent because you resolved the hero dice first. So that's how we'll do it. Now we're going to do cleanup, and that means that this rat swarm is going to go away. Thank goodness. And this one has a little bit of damage on it. Excellent. All right, so now it is Carrie's turn for 1 more attack. I think that what we might do is let's go ahead and do a precise strike. And so this goblin archer, we have a little bit of time to choose what to do with him. Yeah, let's go ahead and attack him. So we're going to attack the goblin archer. And he has 2 HP, and there's 1 of him. And there's 2 attack dice from us. So let's see how we do. Ooh. So sadly, we rolled another peril roll. Fortunately, I didn't bet that success token, so we're just going to lose it. But we have 1 success, 2 successes, 3 successes. So we hit him for 3. So we have definitely killed him. And then we have to resolve this threat roll. So what that means is I'm going to have to give up this success token. That stinks. We've got to quit rolling those skulls. That's bad. But the good news is that the Goblin Archer has gone, and we will move him into the discard pile. So Carrie Wraithstalker is now free from goblins. All right, so now what's going to happen is that we get to choose how to handle our enemy phase. So over here, One Fist is kind of tied up right now. He's going to activate this rat swarm first. So it's just going to become engaged with him, which it already is, and that's all it's going to do. I have to decide if I want to go for this Goblin Witcher or if I want to flip this card over and see what it is for Carrie Wraithstalker. It doesn't really matter since we're going to mess with them both anyway. All right, so what's going to happen is let's go ahead and activate this Goblin Witcher right here. So it says Hex, if this enemy is engaged with you, become weakened. So thankfully he is not engaged with us. He's just activated. So that's fine. Retreat, so basically if he is engaged with you, he casts some nasty magic on you and then runs back into the shadows, coward. And then he's going to inflict, so he's going to do 1 damage to me. So let's actually just do that. So that was his action. Over here, One Fist is going to just activate this other rat swarm, which isn't really going to do anything. And then we're going to activate... Ew, no, the Goblin Witcher Master level. So again, it would hex us if it were engaged with us, but it's not. It retreats back to the shadows and is going to inflict its damage. So I'm up to 6 damage on Carrie Wraithstalker. We got to do something about our damage situation. Fortunately, we're about to. All right, so that's the end of the enemy phase. We've activated all the enemies. They're going to reactivate. And then we are going to do our peril phase. So we're going to move up 1. Uh-oh. So in a show of coordination, perhaps more dumb luck than tactical planning, the goblins encircle you to foul your pursuit. For each goblin in play, so it's these 2, the party leader chooses 1 hero to suffer 1 health. Each hero upgrades, yes, an activation card. Okay, so we both suffer 1 health, which stinks. So we're just gonna do this. We gotta heal up. So we've suffered our health, 1 per goblin that's in play. But we're also going to get to upgrade a card, and that's going to be cool. So let's choose what our upgrades are going to be. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to go ahead and upgrade One Fist's combat card, and we're going to use Skullcracker, which lets us become engaged with up to 2 enemies, target up to 3, and roll 3 attack dice. We can also choose to suffer health in order to reroll die if things aren't going our way, which is pretty cool. So we're going to go ahead and swap out these cards. So it's still exhausted, but it's upgraded, which is awesome. The other thing is that this is on the Berserker pathway. There are also cards that say Knight. Now that I've chosen this Berserker upgrade, all my other upgrades need to be on the Berserker upgrade path. So there's 2 different paths you can choose for each hero class, and you have to stick to the one that you pick for your initial upgrade. I'm also going to choose the Wildlander as opposed to Thief archetype for Carrie. So she is going to replace Blaze a Trail with Eagle Eye, which allows me to roll extra exploration dice, keep drawing exciting exploration cards, and use my exploration skills to attack some enemies in the shadows. So now the peril phase is done. We're in the travel phase. We definitely don't have any progress tokens on here. Nothing is happening with that. So at the end of the travel phase, the party leader rolls 1 enemy die. On a hit, we become poisoned. That sucks. On a skull, or threat, we spawn 1 enemy face down in the shadows. All right, so let's see what we roll. Ha! We rolled nothing. Fantastic. All right, so nothing bad happened. We made it through the travel phase, and now we're back to our activations. We each get to activate twice. During the travel phase, I definitely want One Fist to stay our party leader. So in the interest of time, we will stop here. I hope that you have seen enough to get a taste of how the game works and to be interested in playing it yourself. And that, gamers, is a couple of sample turns of Heroes of Terrinoth. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please like and subscribe. And as always, happy gaming.